Today I'll be giving you an in-depth comparison video of the EID female body and the Feeple65 female body. The sculpts are Karina and Chloe, and both dolls are confirmed to have no yellowing, and they are normal skin tones of their respective companies. I'd like to point out that both dolls are a little loose, but they should be at the same tension level. I know this message will go without say, but I just put it here for disclaimer's sake. So here they are with their basic measurements. Iplehouse is both heavier and taller. I know the Feeple actually looks a little taller here, but she really isn't. Her head is just a lot bigger in proportion. Generally, these bodies have a very similar look, but the differences become apparent once you take a look at the engineering. The Feeple has many more joints. She has extra ball joints in her wrists, her knees, and her ankles. But the body only came this one way. You couldn't choose any other hands or a different bust size, and there were only 3 heads available for it. On the other hand, Iplehouse offers a wide variety of heads with different hands to choose from, an extra mobility type option, and 2 different bust sizes. So let's take a look at their different head attachment systems. The Feeples use a faceplate system. It's very easy. You just pull off the front of the head like so, and the head back is attached with a bayonet mechanism. It's like a lock and key. You just turn it, and it slides right off. Iplehouse has the more common magnet-attached headplate. You just push very lightly against it, and it easily comes off. On the back you see the Iplehouse logo. But the problem is this thing comes off way too easily. You see I'm hardly applying any pressure, only touching it very lightly with the tips of my fingers, and it already almost falls off. And every time you pull off her wig a little too fast, your headplate will go flying and you'll be left in a fit of annoyance. Why, Iplehouse? But as far as head movement goes, they're both pretty good. Though the Feeple can turn her head a little more in each direction, her head tends to snap back, so you have to take a little more time turning it right into the angle that you want it to be. Whereas the Iplehouse head sits solidly on the neck, turning smoothly and without resistance. Now before we go into the posing of the upper body and the arms, I have to tell you that these dolls are strung completely different from one another. The EIDs are strung the traditional way, with 1 string running down the body into the legs and 1 string holding the arms together. Whereas the Feeple has 1 string going down her body, 1 string in each calf, and 1 string in each arm. This method is of course clever because that way each arm only relies on 1 string for its tension and is held together more solidly, thus allowing for more poses. The extra ball joint in the wrist also allows the hand to move more freely. The hands and the arms are both completely removable. The problem with Iplehouse is that their resin is so heavy that the string can't sustain any of the poses in the arms. The new elbow joint doesn't help much either because the crevices aren't deep enough to hold the resin in place, so at a certain angle the arm just snaps back. Wrist movement is okay though. The joint tucked beneath the bust allows for fluent movement from side to side. This, however, always leaves a gaping hole between the joints, and you can quite clearly see the line where the bust usually rests. She can bend backwards a bit, but she can't bend forwards at all. I really pushed hard against her, I couldn't get her to slouch. The Feeple is apparently the seamless wonder. When moving this joint, you don't see any lines or holes. It's just a rounded off piece that connects really well with the joint below the bust. She can arch her back excellently, but like the Iplehouse, she can't bend forward. I think this is due to the generous weight they're carrying up top. If we drop our gaze a little, we can see that both the Iplehouse and Fairyland bodies are missing the traditional waist joint. Now, some people may miss this, but I find it just adds to the aesthetic appeal of these girls. Now that we've covered the basics of their posing, it's time to compare the bodies in various standing and sitting positions. This way we'll see where their strengths and weaknesses are. I'll start out with Iplehouse Karina. Now bear in mind she has this mobility joint. Personally, I think that the mobility joint is more of a hassle to the posing than a real help. Now you can see she's standing quite well here, but the time it takes for one to actually get her to stand is ridiculous. And this is mainly because Iplehouse somehow managed to screw up the fit of her legs and feet. The socket of the foot won't fit exactly with the socket of the leg, meaning you have to really get in there, manually straighten her feet every time you want to stand her up. And then her legs never stay straight. You have to push her mobility joint all the way to the back to be able to straighten them out. Her joints just don't seem to sit well together. You see how long I'm taking here, and this clip is already sped up. Finally. And even now her feet aren't flat. I can put my finger in there. She's basically standing on the sides of her feet. That's why she's so wobbly. A small nudge and she topples. With a bit of fiddling and patience, You can get her to stand with her knees slightly bent. This gives her a bit more of a natural appearance. But you can't bend them more than this, otherwise they will buckle. That's the basic problem here. The doll is too heavy for her joints. If you put just a little too much weight on them, everything will give way. The elastic is too weak to hold everything together. That's why maybe restringing her with a stronger elastic might help. But it's not just the string. It's Iplehouse's fault that the joints don't fit well in each other. I know someone else with an EID female, and she has the same problems. Perhaps there was an error in the manufacturing process. It's not the same with my EID man. I can just put him down anywhere and he will stand. His joints also fit very well in each other, and his knees don't buckle. Alright, but let's move along and see how well she sits. I'm using 2 shoeboxes here as an elegant chair. Now once again, I'm stuck here fiddling with the mobility joint to get it where I want it to be. You need the joint to lock into place beneath her butt, otherwise she will fall backwards. Once you get it to do so, she sits quite nicely. I tried to get her to sit cross-legged, but somehow her joints wouldn't lock. I feel like it should work because she has the extra mobility joint, but it just wouldn't happen. I feel like I'm blaming the mobility joint for a lot here, but it is just that stiff. She probably would need something to lean against for this to work. I guess the mobility joint just isn't that mobile after all. Okay, so sitting on the floor seems to be no problem. Once again, nice straight back. I wonder if she can sit on her knees. That's why Iplehouse did the new double-jointed system, right? Well, it's close enough. She does need the support of her arm though, but at least it's something else. Oh, it would be so cute if she could lie on her stomach. Okay, that looks a bit more like a fish out of water. And there goes the head cap again. Gosh, that thing is really starting to annoy me. And whoa, what is that? What do you even call that? I mean, I know the doll is loose, but that? Jeez. Now, it may seem like I'm bashing Iplehouse a lot here, but I'm really not. All I want to do is bring out the worst and best in these dolls to show you their limits and capabilities. Because I feel like it's important to know when you're on the lookout for a new doll. And also bear in mind that there are many things you can do with your doll to help improve its posing. I hope this video was helpful and insightful for some of you. This concludes part 1 of the comparison. Stay tuned for part 2, and as always, have a happy dolly day!